Howdy, it's Liz again, and I have another Flow Style Junk Journal for you. A Flow Style Junk Journal is one that is designed for you to take apart the pieces and incorporate them into your own craft projects. This one is made with a cover of scrapbook paper that has the pieces bound together with 3 pieces of fiber. This is a hand-dyed, hand-spun wool. This is a synthetic that changes color and is slightly slubby. And this one is a cotton pearl thread. These are wound around twice, so you get quite a bit of this. The dimensions of the cover are approximately 6 by 9. This is a heavy-duty piece of scrapbook paper. It's double-sided. I fold it down the middle, and then I fold up a 3-inch flap and tape it with washi tape so that this is all designed to be taken apart and used if you would like. Inside the front cover is a pocket, and attached to that is a playing card that has fiber wound around it. And this cover, by the way, is a double-sided piece of scrapbook paper. It's from the Graphic 45 collection, Portrait of a Lady. And the collection is in peach, green, and brown. So these are coordinates with that. This is a piece of printed scrapbook paper that's double-sided with a pattern on the back. This is a doily that my husband cut for me. This is a book from the history of lace, and it has wonderful graphics on both sides of it. This is a single-sided piece of scrapbook paper. This is a page from a vintage children's book, which I know from experience is old enough that the paper does not fold very well, so I cut it in half and gave you both pieces. Wonderful aging around the outer edges of the paper. A larger piece of that card with the pattern on top. And this is a page from an older children's book called My Book House, and it has great graphics on it. All right, after that, the first page is a piece of sheet music, and I believe that this is Gilbert and Sullivan. It has lots of notes on it. Yes, this is from The Sorcerer. All right, this is from a book of very old receipts. There are 4 of them. These pages are folded in half if they're large enough, so you'll see the back half of these as we progress through the book. This is a piece of graph paper. Piece of paper with a stamped image on it. This is double-sided paper. This is a book that I have that's in Polish, which I quite like, so I haven't cut up the pages. This is a copy of the page. However, this is an original page. This is from a book I have in Spanish, and just look at the color on the outside there. And there are pencil marks in this book. This is a check mark. I assume that means that the person studied that particular passage. This is a page from a book called Victoria, and it has wonderful little graphics and doodads in the corners, pictures. This is a little piece of poetry from Dylan Thomas. This is a book in French, and I sprayed it with alcohol spray with a doily on the piece of paper, and this side was the side that got the ink, and this is the side it bled through to. So there's a very pale side and a darker side. This is a hymnal. My parents' church got rid of their hymnals, and I scooped a few up when they replaced them. This is a book, page from a quite old book. I think it's from the 20s. These are biography pages, and again, look at the color on the outside of that page. This is from a book on birds. Another stamped image and a double-sided card from the Portrait of a Lady collection. This is double-sided cardstock as well. Excuse me. This is a copy from a ledger I got on vacation last year. My husband and I went on an antiques buying trip, and this is a page from 1915 from a suit store, men's clothing store, and these are their orders and how much they were paid for them. This is a timetable from European trains, and this is actually just from the 70s. But you'll notice that it's kind of a newsprint type page, and it's got some age on it. This is a page from a book called Leaves of Gold from the 50s, I believe. It's an Eastern Star book. They're the female co-club to the Masons. This is a reproduction page from I believe it's a 1903 Sears catalog, which they reprinted in the 70s. But again, they printed on that newsprint style paper. So even though it's not an antique, it has the sort of aging you get from an older piece of paper. It's a book from the 1890s called St. Elmo. This is a pocket watch stamp that I did, and there's a small double-sided piece of cardstock that goes with it. Double-sided scrapbook paper, and these are the heavier papers. These are cardstock almost, or lightweight cardstock perhaps. And I like to paper clip the items to that rather than the paper so that they don't weigh so heavily on it. This is an inventory sheet from a tire store. And here in the center of the book, you see the threads, and I also have taped 2 envelopes together and put some goodies in them. Here are a couple of manila file folders I've decoupaged paper to and then die cut. A couple of different pieces of paper with stamped images that coordinate with the collection, different colors. And these are the lighter weight scrapbook paper. These are all single-sided, but they coordinate with the collection as well. These are the double-sided, heavier cardstock pieces. These are all from the Portrait of a Lady collection, and they have a tone-on-tone floral on the back. And then we have another piece of that double-sided tag cardstock there. Tuck these back in the envelope. On the other side, I have what I believe are 13 pieces of fabric that I have laid out so that you can see them as you open the envelope, and I'm not going to take them out because they wrinkle if I don't put them in correctly again. But they're in coordinating shades that go with the Portrait of a Lady collection. It's the other side of the inventory sheet, the other side of the scrapbook paper, and here I have paper clipped an envelope with a couple of things in it. First of all, I've put in some buttons. This one is a vintage button, and some of the others are modern. Some of them came out of my mother's old button box that she inherited, and I believe that one is Mother of Pearl. And also here I have a couple of prints from a collection of artwork we bought that are thread spool artwork that are all antique or vintage. And there's 6 different ones here. I've printed them on cardstock and then die cut them so that you could use them for a decorated paper clip or a small tuck spot somewhere if you're making a junk journal. And those are in the envelope. When I ship these, I ship them in a plastic bag, so if any of these buttons do happen to sneak out, they will be in the plastic bag that it comes in. All right, the other half of St. Elmo and the Sears page, and Leaves of Gold, train schedule, the ledger. Love the down signatures and the totals down here. They took in $158 here in this page. It's a long time ago. All right, another piece of the cardstock and the Portrait of a Lady and the double-sided cardstock. And book on birds. Love birds. The biography pages, the hymnal, the sprayed page. This is another picture on the Victoria page. Wonderful old wedding photograph. And again, the bride and groom and some lace around them. The Spanish page, Polish page. This is a set of stamps I got that had 2 wonderful bird cages in them, vintage. I just love those. And getting near the end here, the back pocket has another playing card wound with a different fiber on it. This one is variegated and slightly fuzzy. And then the card. This is the off-white piece of cardstock that's white on the back. This is from a book I have on art, and I love putting art in my junk journals. This is a portrait by William Merritt Chase called A Friendly Visit, and something more modern on the back. This is a set of pages from a book on electrical work, and this whole section was on trains, and they're just some wonderful graphics on trains. This is a bridge scorecard. It's another single-sided piece of scrapbook paper. And this is a giant stamp that I got, and you're going to look at it and say I do a terrible job stamping. Some of the words recede into the background. It's designed that way, and some of them are completely inked. Some of them are just partials. And another large piece of the card. And this is a page from a book on making shaker furniture, which I just love. And I think I finally used it all up. But it has a great cover page here as well. All right. That is number 8, I believe, in the Portrait of a Lady collection. And that's going to be for sale on my Etsy store. Thank you so much for looking, and have a great day.